Long before roads crossed the great lands of Africa, there was a peaceful village hidden between rolling hills and white golden plains. The people lived simple lives. They farmed together, shared their harvests, laughed around evening fires, and believed that every tree, river, and mountain carried an ancient spirit. In the very heart of the village stood an enormous baobab tree. Its trunk was so wide that 12 grown men holding hands could barely surround it. Its branches stretched across the sky like giant arms reaching toward the heavens. The elders said the tree had stood there long before the first family built their homes. Children were warned never to play beneath its branches after sunset. Travelers were told never to sleep beside it. But no one explained why. They simply said, when the sun disappears, the tree begins to speak. Most people laughed at the old stories until one unforgettable evening. As the last rays of sunlight faded and silence settled over the village, a deep voice drifted from the ancient baobab. The man who stole his neighbor's goat is hiding it behind the old river stones. Every villager froze. Mothers stopped cooking. Children clung to their parents. The accused man turned pale before anyone even looked at him. Curious villagers rushed to the river, and there it was, the missing goat, exactly where the tree had said. From that day on, everyone feared the whispering baobab, because they realized one terrifying truth. The tree knew every secret. The whisper of the baobab spread across the village like wildfire by sunrise. Everyone was talking about the stolen goat and the tree that had uncovered the truth. Some called it a miracle. Others called it a warning from the ancestors. As another sunset approached, the villagers gathered beneath the giant tree. No one laughed anymore. Every eye was fixed on its ancient branches, waiting and fearing what it would say next. The wind fell silent. Then the tree whispered again. The merchant who claims his measuring bowl is honest has been cheating every family in this village. Gasps echoed through the crowd. The merchant tried to deny it, but when the elders inspected his bowl, they discovered its hidden false bottom. For years, he had stolen from his own neighbors. Day after day, the whispers continued. A hunter who secretly trapped animals in sacred lands. A man who lied about his brother. A woman who hid money meant for the village well. No secret remained buried for long. At first, the villagers praised the tree. They believed justice had finally found its voice. Thieves returned what they had stolen. Liars bowed their heads in shame. Even the chief thanked the spirits for protecting the village. But slowly, something changed. The smiles disappeared. Neighbors stopped trusting one another. Friends spoke in whispers, afraid their own mistakes would be the next secret carried by the evening wind. Children noticed that laughter no longer filled the marketplace. Instead of bringing peace, the whispers had planted fear in every heart. Among all the frightened villagers, there was one child who refused to believe the baobab was evil. Her name was Amina. Unlike the others, she did not fear the tree. She feared what the whispers were doing to people's hearts every evening. She watched neighbors turn against neighbors. Families stopped eating together. Children no longer played beneath the open sky. The village had become quiet not because there was peace, but because everyone was hiding. One night, after the last cooking fire had faded and the moon climbed high above the village, Amina quietly left her home. Alone, she walked toward the ancient baobab. The elders had warned everyone never to go near it after sunset. They believed anyone who stayed beneath its branches would never return the same. But Amina kept walking. She sat beneath the great tree, her heart pounding so loudly she could hear every beat in the silence for a long time. Nothing happened. Then a gentle breeze rustled the leaves. The giant branches swayed, though the night was still. A deep, weary voice filled the darkness. Child, why have you come? Amina gathered her courage and looked up. Everyone says you are destroying our village, she whispered. If that is true, why do you keep revealing our secrets? The old baobab was silent for a moment, then its voice became softer than the wind. I do not speak because I hate your baobab. I speak because they stopped telling the truth long ago. When honesty disappeared from their hearts, someone had to remind them. Amina listened carefully. But before she could ask another question, the tree spoke once more. Tomorrow's whisper will be different, and it may change your village forever. Amina did not sleep that night. The baobab's warning echoed in her mind until the first light of dawn. If the next whisper could destroy the village, she had to stop it. As the sun rose, she ran from house to house, begging everyone to gather before sunset. Some ignored her, others laughed. She's only a child, they said. What could she possibly know? But Amina refused to give up. By evening, the entire village stood once again beneath the ancient baobab, waiting for the familiar whisper. Before the tree could speak, Amina stepped forward. Please, she cried, before the tree reveals another secret. Let each of us reveal one of our own. The villagers looked at one another in silence. Then an old farmer slowly raised his hand. Years ago, he admitted, I blamed my neighbor for a fire that I accidentally started. The neighbor stared at him for a long moment, then nodded. I forgive you. One by one, others found the courage to speak. A mother confessed she had hidden food while others were hungry. A young man admitted he had lied to protect his pride. Even the village chief bowed his head and confessed that fear had kept him from leading with fairness. Tears replaced anger, forgiveness replaced blame. The village had never been so quiet. Then the sun disappeared beyond the hills. Everyone turned toward the ancient Baobab. They waited. The wind blew gently through its branches, but this time the tree said nothing. The villagers stood beneath the ancient Baobab, holding their breath. They waited for another whisper, another secret, another name, but the tree remained silent. The silence felt strange at first, then slowly it became peaceful. Days turned into weeks. The marketplace was filled with laughter once again. Children chased one another beneath the same branches they had once feared. Neighbors shared food and families gathered around evening fires without wondering who would be exposed next. One morning, Amina returned to the Baobab. She gently placed her hand on its rough bark and whispered thank you. A warm breeze passed through the branches, carrying a single leaf that drifted softly into her hands. It was the tree's only reply. From that day forward, the Baobab never revealed another secret. The elders later told the children. The tree did not lose its voice. The village found its own. And so the people learned a lesson that was passed from one generation to the next. A community built on fear can never know peace. But a community built on truth, forgiveness, and compassion will always stand strong. Even today, if you travel through the old villages of Africa and find a great baobab standing alone, some say it is still listening, not for secrets, but for honest hearts. And that is why the ancient tree never whispered again.